Is my humble obeisances to you all. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj's daily class. Today we are continuing with Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, 8th chapter, Parikshit Maharaj's questions. And today's verse is number 7. Hare Krishna Maharaj, my humble obeisances to you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for your association and on time for all of us. I'll share my screen again with the verse. Thank you, Maharaj, whenever you are ready. You have to unmute, Maharaj.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, Maharaj.
Is it clear or is it muffled?
Yeah, it's muffled a little bit.
How's that? Is that better?
No, Maharaj. It's still same.
How about that? Is that better?
Yeah, for me it's little low. I just want to ask others too.
Yeah, it's low, Maharaj.
Very well.
It's
Yes,
very
it's low. It's low for us too.
Let me see what I can do for volume here. I don't know. I think my volume is all the way up.
I think you have to check in the mic settings.
Everything was okay except for the last 2 days. Nothing's changed on my side. I don't know. I mean, see if there's maybe there's 2 volume sets here somewhere.
Did you increase the computer volume, Maharaj?
My computer volume is all the way to 100.
Okay.
But then there must be another volume that's connected with the Zoom.
Can anybody suggest anything to change? I'm not getting an idea.
Hare Krishna, sometimes in the sound panel, they have a separate volume control for the microphone.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure where that is on Windows. But
Where's the sound panel?
I think you have to go to the settings, and you have to choose the sound, Maharaj.
Settings, where's settings?
System settings.
That'll tell you. I don't even know where the settings are.
Yeah, I know.
Let me see here. I found something that is, let me see. Is that any better?
Yeah, it's getting better.
And that's the highest I got. 100 on the settings, 100 on the computer.
Okay.
Okay, so give it a try. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yadadatu Mato Brahman. Deharambosha Datu Bihi. Yadrichaya Hetunavam Bhavanto Jan Nateyata. O learned Brahmana, a transcendental spirit soul different from the material body. Does he acquire the body accidentally or by some cause? You kindly explain this, for it is known to you. Purport: Maharaj Parikshit, being a typical devotee, is not only satisfied by confirming the importance of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from the representative of Brahmaji by disciplic succession, but he is still more anxious to establish the philosophical basis of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the science of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as such, all questions may rise in the mind of a serious student must be cleared by the statements of the authority. A person on the path of devotional service may inquire from his spiritual master all about the spiritual position of God and the living beings. But from the Bhagavad Gita as well as from Srimad Bhagavatam, it is known that qualitatively the Lord and the living beings are one. The living being in the conditioned state of material existence is subjected to many transmigrations by continuous changing of the material body. But what are the causes of the material embodiment of the part and parcel of the Lord? Maharaj Parikshit inquires about this very important matter for the benefit of all classes of candidates on the path of self-realization and devotional service to the Lord. Indirectly, it is confirmed that the Supreme Being, the Lord, makes no such material changes of body. He is spiritually whole, with no difference between his body and his soul, unlike the conditioned soul. The liberated living beings who associate with the Lord in person are also exactly like the Lord. Only the conditioned souls awaiting liberation are subjected to changes of body. How was the process first begun? In the process of devotional service, the first step is to take shelter of the spiritual master and then inquire from the spiritual master all about the process. This inquiry is essential for immunity from all kinds of offenses on the path of devotional service. Even if one is fixed in devotional service like Maharaj Parikshit, he must still inquire from the realized spiritual master all about this. In other words, the spiritual master must also be well versed and learned so that he may be able to answer all the inquiries from the devotees. Thus, one who is not well versed in the authorized scriptures and not able to answer all such relevant inquiries should not pose as a spiritual master for material gain or for the matter of material gain. It is illegal to become a spiritual master if one is unable to deliver the disciple. Om Agyan Timirandasya Girajana Salakaya Chaksun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimakte Bhakte Vedanta Swami Iti Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nevasesa Sunyavadi Pasyatya De Satarine Vanchakalpa Taruvescha Kripa Sindhu Vaivascha Titanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. How is the volume now?
It's same, Maharaj. It's little low. If it can be louder, that will be great.
I don't see any ways to make it louder. So
It's pretty clear, Guru Maharaj. Even though it's low, this time it's clear. So I think we're good.
Yeah.
Okay. So there is one verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, describes that inquisitive student. One has this knowledge requires questions and answers. The whole principle of Bhagavatam, as you see being laid out here, is you have a guru and you have disciple. You have the authority and you have one who wants to learn from the authority. If the disciple doesn't want to learn from the authority, he's not a sincere disciple. And therefore he cannot make any advancement. Simply by taking initiation and then forgetting about making inquiries further into the process of devotional service will not really help the student understand the process of devotional service. Because the process of devotional service is very subtle. And therefore, one has to understand things clearly. Therefore, inquiry is given. The process of hearing results in two things. When one is hearing properly, one will get realization of the knowledge that they hear, or if they don't get realization, or if they have some understanding but not complete, they must clarify their misconceptions or unclear understanding by asking questions. This is mentioned in the Padma Purana, that one of the qualities of one who is actually hearing or reading, you might say, both are forms of hearing. One has to ask questions or get realizations while they're in the process of listening from the bona fide authority. Therefore, inquiries are there. Prabhupada makes a very strong statement, and he says this inquiry is essential for immunity for all kinds of offenses on the path of devotional service. We may be able to read and get a little understanding of how we should execute devotional service. But one of the things that the devotees fall prey to, they do things that are contrary to devotional service, or the principles that will cause them to either commit offenses or to inject material conceptions into philosophical teachings, spiritual teachings. And because of that, their progress is practically slow or not at all. Therefore, one has to inquire regularly, how can I make advancement in devotional service? Srila Prabhupada used himself as an example, that I didn't ask my spiritual master so many questions, but I asked, how can I serve you? And when that question is asked, everything is given on how one should understand the service and how to execute the service in a way that is done as an offering to the Supreme Lord and his pure devotee. So these things are fundamental to the progress of devotional service. And the more we hear with attention, as it's explained, the more questions will come up. If we're not reading and hearing enough, we won't get questions. And therefore we remain pretty much in illusion about the process of devotional service. So regular nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama sloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. One has to hear every day the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. We may add also Nectar Devotion, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Bhagavad Gita. These are the essential foundational scriptures that are the the building blocks of our Krishna consciousness. We have to hear from these scriptures regularly by reading them. Or if we can hear directly from a qualified person in the discussion, then that is also good. But still, Srila Prabhupada gave us these books for reading, and he says, then he would criticize us, we don't read enough, or we don't read at all. Why? Because reading takes a backseat in our life, because there is this misconception that accomplishment in life is achieving some result from some activity. That is the mode of passion, that one does something and something gets done. But unless the consciousnesses understand how to do it and what is the best way, and what is the different angles of vision, one can see the same principle. Because devotional service is not like material philosophical knowledge. It goes deep into the nature of the living being's existence. It goes deep into the nature of the qualities and attributes of the Supreme Lord. It goes very deep in the execution of the activities that connect with the living entity with the Supreme Lord. So all of these things need to be clearly understood. And how will we know about Krishna unless we ask about Krishna? We may read books about Krishna, but then again we may get a small or even a no understanding of who Krishna is, because Krishna is transcendental. He's beyond the three modes of material nature. And therefore the understanding has to be given by a self-realized soul or by Krishna himself. So we see here, what is Bhagavatam? Questions and answers, questions and answers, questions and answers. Simply, Maharaj Parikshit is asking Sukadeva Goswami, the qualified spiritual master. He's responding. Maharaj Parikshit becomes satisfied, but his inquiry doesn't stop there. He wants to know more. This is a quality of a sincere disciple. A serious disciple, they want to know as much as they can about devotional service, how to execute it, and specifically they want to know about Krishna. What is the nature of Krishna? What is the qualities that he exhibits? What are the activities? Why does he perform his pastimes in the way he performs his pastimes? What is the intrinsic meaning of his relationships with his pure devotees and others? There's a whole list. There is 3 categories of questions. One is called Sambandha, the other one is called Abhideya, and the other one is called Prayojana. Sambandha is the most extensive and the foremost of all of the topics within the Vedic scriptures. Sambandha means connection. How to connect with the spiritual master. What are the philosophical and practical knowledge that needed to connect? How to connect with and understand material nature. How to free oneself from the influence of material nature. What is the nature of Krishna? All of these things are called Sambandham. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written 2 books which have been published on these 3 categories, which comprise about 100 different topics within those 3 categories. There's a long list within each one. Abhideya means the process of devotional service, the 9 angas of devotional service, the activities of each of these angas, and the different understandings on how these angas elevate one according to the quality of our understanding of the activities within the anga. In other words, how much do we actually perform the anga, such as vandanam, which is prayer, shravanam, which is hearing, smaranam, which is remembering, dasyam, which means to serve. So these categories are unlimitedly deep in understanding each and every category. And then, of course, then the last one is prayojana, which is the smallest of all the categories, and that is what are the topics that deal with love of God, which is the goal of devotional service. So these three categories, Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana, make up the entire Vedic knowledge, divided into three categories. So unless we continue regularly hear an inquiry based on what we hear for further understanding and clarification, we will, after a while, vacillate in our devotional service. We will think devotional service is simply getting the job done. I got some service to do. I did it. I'm successful. And that is a very limited understanding of the process. And if our service doesn't awaken realization of our nature, our spiritual nature, and connect us with Krishna through the process of transcendental knowledge, then we are like spinning our wheels and not really making any progress. So one should understand things clearly, and that's what Bhagavatam does. It gives you a clear understanding. The first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam sets the stage. Actually, it's the first two canto. We are on the second canto now. You'll see, for those devotees that have been here for the second canto, you see the inquiries all center around the process of bhakti. How does bhakti work? And then you'll start to get into more of the pastimes of the Lord, which contain the elements of bhakti within them, or the knowledge of bhakti within them, the activities of the Lord in his different incarnations. Now, it's a wonderful science. We go to school, we get so many classes on different topics within the secular society. We study very hard. Why? Because we want to know the subject matter so we can pass the exams. But we must pass the exam of life also. Otherwise, if we fail the exam of life, then we have to come back the next life and try again. And we may not be in such a good position as we are in this life. There's no guarantee. So, therefore, this knowledge is concomitant, fundamental, essential for our progress in devotional service. And if we hear regularly, we will understand things more and more and more, and we will also become more inquisitive. There is that verse, I can't remember the number. Maybe you can turn to, Srimati, you can turn to the first canto, second chapter, start with verse number 10, I think. Yeah. Let's see. If you go down the page too fast, I can't see it. Yeah. Okay, number 12. It's verse number 12. Tat stradadanayo munayo jnana vairagya yuktaya pasyatyatmani chatmanam bhaktya sruta grihitaya. The seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment, realizes the absolute truth by rendering devotional service in terms of what he had heard from the Vedanta Shruti. Now this puts everything in perspective. The seriously inquisitive student. So we should be inquisitive in a serious way. It brings knowledge, and it also detaches us from the material activities and the material desires, which keep us locked into the mode of ignorance and passion, and doesn't allow us to learn the process of devotional service completely. So that detachment comes automatically when we develop transcendental knowledge and engage in devotional service. Then detachment starts to manifest. if we're still attached to the material world and still think that we can find happiness in the material world through all of the activities, then we can just see from the people who are doing it, are they actually happy and making progress in life? If they were, there wouldn't be so much crime. There wouldn't be so much forms of intoxication, so much talk about anxiety, talks about depression. There's so many talks about all of the problems in the world. If people were actually happy through material life, there wouldn't be any of these problems, or even 1/3 of them. But they're not, because material life cannot provide the soul what it's looking for: happiness and knowledge, and ultimately elevation to the spiritual world. So if we don't believe that material life is a useless affair, to try to control it, to try to squeeze out some happiness, then all we have to do is see what is going on. There's a verse in the second canto, first chapter. Turn to that verse, second canto, first chapter. Let's see. Let me see here. Well, keep going. Okay, number 4. Yeah. Deha patyat kaladashu atmasanishur asat sapi tesham pramatta nidanam pasyanapi napasyati. Persons devoid of Atma Tattva do not inquire into the problems of life. Being too attached to the fallible soldiers like body, children, and wife, although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction. This napanyapi napasyati means they see everything is around them is getting destroyed. Excuse me. They see everyone around, people are dying, people are becoming frustrated, but they think, not me. They see, but they don't see. It's like having eyes that are like decorations on the body with no visual power to them. So devotees shouldn't be like that. We should be able to understand that this material world is simply meant for our entanglement in the activities which take us away from our best interest, which is to realize our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So one of the qualifications of making progress on devotional service, and which inspires inquisitiveness into transcendental matters, is to give up this idea and give up the idea that we can be happy by material activities. As soon as we do that, our progress in devotional service is set on high speed. And then that high speed will continue as we inquire and engage in devotional service. This is the process. And we have so many wonderful books. I mean, Prabhupada and the Acharyas have given us tons of books, not tons, but warehouses full of transcendental knowledge. But all we need is one or two, and that is Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. We have enough for self-realization just in those 2 books. Everything else is just an extension of all the knowledge in those 2 books. But it's also interesting to hear the philosophical teachings coming from different angles of vision, because it goes deeper and deeper into the nature of the absolute truth. People ask, well, what is the spiritual world a lot about? The Vedas explain the nature of the spiritual world. In the 3rd canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a whole description of the Vaikuntha realm. What what are the residents of Vaikuntha? What do they look like? What are their activities? What is Vaikuntha like? And if you go into many of the books of the Acharyas, and also in Srimad Bhagavatam in the 10th canto, you get an insight of what is Vrindavan like. What is the nature of Vrindavan, which is the highest realm of the spiritual existence. So this whole process of devotional service is susukam. It gives transcendental happiness unlimitedly. In all aspects, chanting brings happiness. Reading philosophy and hearing about it brings transcendental knowledge and happiness. Associating with devotees and serving together does. So we should become very serious in our practice of devotional service, and then we will understand everything, and we'll see this material world as simply a big burden, and that's all. Okay, questions?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much. Such a wonderful class, telling us the importance of Srimad Bhagavatam, reading the scriptures, and devotional service, how the disciple or the devotee should be inquiring about the situations, problems. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Dear devotees, any questions or comments or realizations, you can please go ahead now. Please turn on your cameras if possible. It would be very nice to have interactive session. So, Maharaj, while others are thinking, I have a question. Like when we are in the devotional service, in the beginning stages, usually we see a lot of things to be done. We are focusing on those things, not about like immersing or absorbing ourselves in the process. So at that time, people doesn't find much happiness. So how to encourage them, or how to, even for me also, sometimes too much engaged in the services, not really absorbing things. So how to be focused and really.
It seems like there is some misunderstanding of the proper way that you bring people in. One is you encourage them to read the books, encourage them to hear the classes, and then when they get more and more connected in the philosophical way, then they're more inclined to do activities. If you simply give them activities in the beginning without giving a sufficient amount of time to understand what is the process, what are the prayers, what is, when you go to the morning program, what are these prayers, what do they mean, how do we, take part in the morning program. These are all parts of the training program. In my experience in coming to Krishna consciousness, it was the other way around. We had a lot of time for reading, a lot of time for asking questions, a lot of time for associating with devotees who were always around to answer our questions and even inspire us and service was there, but it wasn't the most, what we say, that it wasn't the main thing. The main thing was getting the spiritual education along with some activities in devotional service. So I think you're approaching it from the wrong way, or not in the proper way.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. This is very clear for me now, because wherever we see the new people or anybody, they are just inclined towards, or they are just pulled into to do some activities, but not giving the actual process directly, like what you said. Thank you.
When we find someone who can't understand anything, even though we're trying to give them understanding, and then we start to give them some service to do and keep them connected. But that's for those who have no attraction for anything philosophical and are more inclined to do activities.
Okay.
But that's not generally the procedure in dealing with people. Many devotees who came to Krishna consciousness came because they read the book.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah, thank you so much. Sridevi Mataji.
Thank you, Srimati. Dear Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Today's class was very powerful in terms of explaining the fine details that go into nurturing new bhaktas, following the process, especially inquiries to avoid offenses and avoid injecting material tendencies. And then there is very, very little progress or not at all. So these statements that you have made today are definitely very, for me at least, to deeply meditate and understand and apply also. So thank you very much for that. My inquiry, Maharaj, is this, that we have this morning program. We attend the daily worship program, Arati, etc. And then there is Srimad Bhagavatam class every day. And we are encouraged that every morning we attend the program. My understanding is that whoever is giving the class, it may be an advanced devotee, it may be neophyte devotee, whoever is assigned for that day, one must attend that class, no matter who is giving the class. So when I mentioned, like, ultimately, we are hearing Srila Prabhupada's words. So it doesn't matter who is giving class. One must make it a point to attend the class every day, because in the association of devotees, hearing the transcendental words of Prabhupada, making inquiries, will help us to solidify our understanding, clarify our misperception, and so on. So is my understanding correct that whoever is giving the class, it doesn't matter, it is Srila Prabhupada's words, so it's Srila Prabhupada who's giving the class? Is my understanding correct?
Yeah, but I can also give you another analogy which is similar to what you're saying. When Prabhupada would give classes in Hindi, and no one could understand what he was saying, the devotees sometimes would leave, and Prabhupada said, "No, sit down. The sound itself is purifying," even though they couldn't understand any of the words. So when transcendental message is being communicated or expressed, anyone who hears that vibration, if they're hearing it or listening to it, there is some purification of consciousness, there is some knowledge gained. So using your example shows that, yeah, it doesn't matter who's giving the class, because you'll always get something from it, no doubt. Because one of the things that Krishna does is that if there's devotees who are sitting in the class, he'll inspire the speaker to say something which will be irrelevant to the people who are there. It comes automatically. You have to understand this is not a mechanical process. Not a mechanical process. It's a transcendental process, and if you follow it, then you'll find everything becomes, what we say, knowable, understandable. And it inspires us in our chanting, and it inspires us in our service. It doesn't matter who's giving class.
Okay. I got blasted by Malati Mataji for saying that. So I wanted to clarify. Thank you.
You got blasted because she says it doesn't, she disagreed with you?
I will speak more about it. I got a 1 hour blasting for many things, Guru Maharaj, at New Vrindavan. I will tell you in person.
Okay. Well, good. You must have made some advancement then.
Hare Krishna, my obeisances.
Well, you can expect that from Malati. He's heard from Prabhupada directly. So.
Actually, Prabhupada warned me 2 days before I was offering lotus flowers at his lotus feet. And I was thinking about my upcoming meeting with Mother Malati. And Prabhupada, in my heart, he said, she is very dear to me. Be very careful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I had that warning. I just listened. I was completely humble, polite, and receptive. I didn't say anything in my defense.
Good. Prabhupada said the same thing to me about Malati many years ago also. But he said a little differently. And he said when I was in Columbus, Malati was there, and she was going through some transition stage, and she was struggling. So Prabhupada, I was trying to help her, but I couldn't understand how to do it. So Prabhupada spoke to me, and this was really the most powerful experience I had with Prabhupada. Very clearly said, in a very easy to understand voice, be very kind to her. That was the actual words. So rather than being more forceful in trying to guide her, I changed my mood. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And now I respect her very much because she's very knowledgeable, extremely knowledgeable.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you. Devotees, any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Is he listening?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can hear.
Okay. My Dandavat Pranam to Maharaj. Prabhu. Is the things, is the experienced people when giving the lecture and new people giving the lecture, is my experience I am saying, new people just translate the verse or repeat to word by word. But when some senior Maharaj or anybody give the lecture, in that lecture is something I feel that there is something feeling, is internal transpiration. Something is coming from that kind of things.
Yeah. Actually,
So I feel it's a little bit different. Is my feelings. I am not sure I am right or not, but is this my feelings?
well, it's in relationship to Sri Devi's statement. But yeah, one who is realized, then the knowledge becomes it goes directly into the heart, inspires the mind, and awakens one's devotional service. Others who are not realized, but who are speaking from a theoretical point of view, still they can offer something. But still, when you hear from a pure devotee, a self-realized soul, then you're getting the knowledge purely. Provided you're hearing properly. Hearing properly means hearing with complete absorption in the hearing process. So yeah, everyone may find themselves choosing who they want to hear for, that's fine. But the point is to hear regularly.
Okay. Okay, Maharaj. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Dear devotees, any more questions? Maharaj, the purport says about the soul and the body transmigration, all that. So usually the new people, they get confused with this topic, and it's in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. So they have a lot of questions on that, and also, yeah, some people doesn't understand much, Maharaj, how we have to progress in that way, or make them understand the actual concept.
You mean to understand the difference between the soul and the body?
Yeah, and also how after death, what will happen, all that, so many questions.
Yeah, but that's explained throughout Bhagavad Gita and also in Bhagavatam. We have two bodies.
Mm.
We have a gross physical body made up of Bhumi Rapanalo Bayu, Kamana Buddhi Evacha. And then we have the subtle body, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, physical body, mind, intelligence, false ego, subtle body. The soul is encased within both of these bodies. And when death comes, you lose the gross body, but the subtle body remains and carries the soul to the next body based on the desires and activities of the living entity at the time of death. Yam yam vapi staram bhavam tatva ante kalevam tam tam evaiti konteya tadadhabhava bhavitaham. Whatever you think of at the time of death, there's where you'll go. So how are you going from one place to another? The subtle body is carrying you. Just like you're sitting here now and you're listening, but if you divert your mind somewhere else, you can be in another area of a consciousness and still be sitting where you are. But you're not where you are, you're where your consciousness is. And so the mind takes you to different places. The mind is always moving. It can take you anywhere and everywhere. And when we have a familiar experience with a place, then we go there sometimes. All right, I want to go to India, so I go to India and I remember where I was in India, what I was doing, who I was with. So the mind is doing that. So at the time of death, that same mind is going to take you to the next body automatically. So the process of transmigration is just very easily explainable. And the soul is stuck in the subtle body. And life after life, you get another gross body as long as the subtle body is still connected to the material energy. When you purify the subtle body, then that is liberation. And then there's no more material bodies, and then you reach the spiritual realm.
Yeah. Yes, Maharaj. Yeah, I think.
But I think part of your question is people think, yes, I know I'm not this body, but they think they're the mind.
Mm.
We're not the mind either. The mind is simply part of the subtle body. It's an instrument for taking in information, for processing information, to responding to information. The mind has thinking, feeling, and willing. It's not us. The soul is pure consciousness. Satchidananda. We have no recognition or understanding of our spiritual existence. We're too covered by our material existence. If you're inside of a cave and you say, I don't see the sun, Well, because you're inside of the cave, you can't see the sun. Get out of the cave. Now, the soul remains covered because of its association with the material energy. That covering is cut through by the process of bhakti, by knowledge and by activity, both. Mhm. And the fastest and most effective way to awaken the soul's awareness is through chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra.
Yes, Maharaj, all interlinked. Yeah. Yeah. I guess I have to be more knowledgeable to explain things properly. Yeah.
Yeah, practice that.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah.
Sit there with your husband and play guru disciple. And if you practice that in a stage type program, you get an understanding how to do it in real life.
Mhm.
Yeah, just like before the dramatic performers go on stage, they do their rehearsals.
Yeah.
Rehearse.
Yes, Maharaj. Today, there are no questions, Maharaj, for Rasvilasni Mataji. Thank you. Please go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Great Gurudev and assembled devotees. So Maharaj, I was hearing like today lecture. So when we are inquisitive and we gain knowledge, so we also become detached at the same time. So if both of these work together, do other qualities like self-control and patience also come along with detachment, Maharaj?
Patience you have to cultivate. That you have to practice. Mhm. Self-control means to engage the mind, the body, the senses, the intelligence in the activities of devotional service. How much you are engaged, 50%, 80%, is depending on the level of your self-control. If you're driving a car, you have to pay attention. You have an accident if you don't pay attention. So when you're trying to practice devotional service, you have to put your concentration into the activity. And to whatever degree you're absorbed in the activity, that will give you the quality of the results of the activity and the understanding of the activity, the knowledge also. Just like we're listening, I'm speaking, you're listening, but how much are you listening? If we're doing something else while we're trying to listen, we can't listen completely. We can hear something, but we can't hear when you absorb yourself in the hearing process. And that's mentioned in Bhagavatam, to hear with rapt attention. Then things start to develop. The mind you activate the intelligence when you listen with absorption. So self-control means to bring in all aspects and focus it, body, mind, intelligence, senses.
Yeah, so we should engage our all senses for absorption in knowledge, right?
Say that again.
We should engage our all senses for absorption in knowledge, Maharaj.
Somehow their accent is a little making it a little hard for me to understand. A little bit slower.
That means, Mara, we should engage our all senses for absorption in knowledge while hearing.
Yeah. Why would you want to divert your attention somewhere else? Then your absorption is not complete, and you may miss something. There's more than just hearing the sound vibrations. It's understanding what is being said. Also, how it's being said. What is the emphasis? When people speak, there's also emphasis. There's also moods. There's also feelings connected with it. So all of these things bring it into the hearing process. That's called rapt attention. Everything. Many people can say the same thing, and there'll be a bit different motivation behind what they say. So when you hear with absorption, you understand the motivation that is behind what is being said also. And that's important. If you're going to motivate us to increase our devotional service, is it going to motivate us to increase our transcendental knowledge, or is it just going to go in one ear and out the other? After the class, sit down and see how much you remember from the class. Sit down and take a pencil and paper and write down what you heard, the points, what is the verse about, who spoke the verse, why was the verse spoken in that particular way. This is when you go to college, they give you what is called essay examinations. You have to write an essay about a particular topic that you have been exposed to. When you write the essay, you get into the details of the knowledge that you've heard. This knowledge is transcendental. This knowledge is coming from the spiritual realm, not part of this material world, especially knowledge of Krishna.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Nice question. Thomas Prabhu, you have your hand raised up previously. Do you want to continue asking question? Do you have any question or comment?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, my humble obeisances. Thank you for the fascinating class today. My question is something sort of related to introducing people to Krishna consciousness. My position in the temple is sort of a Western outreach, and I'm finding it very difficult to sort of retain Westerners, especially in the highly Indian congregation that we have. And my question is like, once you've introduced people to Krishna consciousness, you've introduced them to the chanting, you've introduced them to the texts, how to retain them? Do you sort of let Krishna's power and magic work on them, and it shakes those people out who are not meant to stay? Or what are some more things that I can do to help cultivate Westerners specifically? That's my question. Thank you.
Yeah, good question. There are two aspects. One is how to approach, and another thing is what you can do. We see sometimes Westerners have this conception it's an Indian Hindu movement. And sometimes they feel a little distanced by that. They feel like they don't fit in. what we've done in many temples and preaching centers is have special nights just for the Westerners. So they can sit and then you can deal with them as a group by giving a class and answering their questions like that. Another thing is you can start a program of education wherein people will come and learn systematically. I always suggest we start with Bhagavad Gita. There are many, designed courses for teaching new people Bhagavad Gita. There's at least, I can think of 3 or 4 really good ones that have been given where you can study it and present it to new people. So when you're bringing people in, if you don't educate them, they can't understand what the process is about. They just think it's about doing something, but it's much more than that. So I would suggest either one of those or both of those things. Have a special night for them, or have a class, systematic teachings of nectar devotion, Bhagavad Gita, particularly 3 issue Upanishads, nectar of instructions. Is something like that going on now?
We have a Westerner. Thank you for your answer, Maharaj. Yes, we have a Westerner-centric night at the temple, and we have, I've been able to retain 1 or 2, but maybe 20 have come and gone. They come for a few nights, they sing and dance a little bit, and then they drift away. It's introducing them, it seems okay. It's at least the issue I'm having as a sort of Westerner outreach is retaining them. And I wonder if, because the classes are still, even though they're Western centric, the classes are still taught by, of course, the masters in the temple, but His Grace Yugal Kishore Prabhu or Shyam Kishore Prabhuji. And so I wonder if even to keep the Westerner coming, they have to be spoken to by Westerners at the beginning to really turn them on, or I'm just looking for some guidance on retaining them once they've been introduced.
Aside from what I said, or in addition to what I said, meet them, shake their hand, talk to them, find out where they're coming from, ask them what brought them to the temple, and find out, establish a little bit of a personal friendship with them. And then let them know that, you're always here to help them and give them some further understanding, and whatever you can. You take a personal interest in a person, that is much more effective than they just come as a group. That helps a lot. But you might need someone else to help you with that, but you can do as much as you can do. Because some people just come just to check it out, to see what it is in the first place. Yeah, but if they see something they don't like or they don't understand, and if you don't clarify it for them, they might find that it's a reason not to come back. So I would say those 3 things: set up a separate class for them, teach systematically, and also talk to them on a personal level. that personal connection is very effective. And well, here's somebody who's interested in me, who cares, who I can learn from, and make them feel like they're welcomed. We're happy they came.
May I say something at this point, Guru Maharaj?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking Prema Pallavi Mataji at Farmington Hills. She's absolutely wonderful with newcomers. She's so loving. She's so warm. She's so caring.
But
And
she
she's
does,
a very nurturing.
yeah, but she's mostly with the Indian group, right?
Oh, okay.
He's talking about Westerners.
I saw her interacting with Westerners also. That's why I thought of her.
But Thomas is from the same temple. He's also from Farmington Hills. Yeah. So yeah, it's good to have male and female, of course, too. Ladies might feel more relaxed when when the lady is speaking to them, more receptive. Well, all
Thank you,
these
Guru
things you have to
Maharaj.
take into
Appreciate it.
consideration, but ultimately, not everybody will stay because a lot of people come just to see what's going on. That's all. They're not really want to commit themselves to anything. But there are some serious ones, and you have to see where to focus your attention.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. Thank you, Srimati Mataji. Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj, for your time and explanation. My question is a little bit different. It's regarding the mind, what you were talking about. We know that we are not mind, but we still use our mind for understanding and practicing this devotional services, devotional practice. How do we differentiate between our mind's material intelligence and spiritual intelligence? So, like, when sometimes mind is playing up, how do we know that this is at the moment mind is playing up?
That's why you got to read the books. That's why you got to hear from the spiritual teachers to know what is spiritual and what is not. Everything is given to us in the books, in the lectures. You have to hear, you have to read. And then you process everything through transcendental knowledge and not through material ideas. If you don't know, you won't be able to understand the difference. Gotta read, gotta hear.
Yep. Okay. So sometimes, mind plays its own philosophy. So we have to just analyze properly. And that's what.
Yeah, that's the idea of having the knowledge. You can discriminate. Oh, this is not Krishna consciousness. This is some idea that the mind is coming up with.
Yeah.
Just like, sometimes somebody will make a statement in class and then someone will ask, where is that written? Where did you hear that from?
Yeah.
It's like one time Prabhupada said something interesting. He was talking about the mind. It's on a lecture, you can hear it. He said, never trust your mind, always distrust.
Okay.
He says, where that is written, it is not known, but it is current. So that's an interesting point. Where
Well-
that's written, it's not known, but it's come. In other words, the acharyas agree with that principle. But in other words, that's a principle that's come by way of experience, and not so much something that has been found within the Shastras. That's a rare case.
Mhm.
But you'll find that sometimes. But when Prabhupada spoke, he would always reference things.
Okay.
One time I was giving a class and someone asked me, where did you hear that from?
Mm.
And then I quoted a senior devotee where I heard it from. I couldn't give a reference other than the senior devotee. So it was accepted.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. We have a question on chat by Kiran Prabhu. He's asking, Hare Krishna Maharaj, my obeisances and all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Kiran or Ravi Kiran?
Sorry, Kumar?
Ravi Kiran or Kiran?
Kiran Prabhu from Charlotte.
Oh, from Charlotte. Okay, we got Ravi Kiran there too.
Yeah.
All
So his question is, to change the mind, so many good or bad thoughts come in the mind while chanting. How to change it? Sometimes come in the mind like someone leaves the body. We at that moment think, yes, this is the final truth, but later we forget all this. Why don't we remember always?
Read it again. I got the first part. I didn't get the second part.
Yeah. So sometimes in the mind, he gets the thought like someone is leaving the body. So at that moment, we think that it is truth, but later we forget this. So why don't we remember that death is always there, Maharaj?
Yeah. Mhm. What is Yudhishthira's Maharaj statement? You know that verse? Yudhishthira Maharaj quote?
Sorry, Maharaj, I couldn't hear properly. Can you repeat it?
Sridevi, you know that verse?
Is it?
Yudhishthira Maharaj quotes, Hanya Han, something like that. I can't remember.
Jayate mriyate va kadachin.
No.
Huh.
No, that everyone is seeing my relatives, friends, people in general are dying, but they're thinking not me. It won't happen. It happens to everybody else. It doesn't happen to me. There's a verse that's spoken by Yudhishthira Maharaj when he was asked that question by Dharmaraj, the Yamaraj, the Lord of Death. He said, "What is the most amazing thing in this world?" And then he quoted that verse. Everyone seeing, oh yes, my friend has died. People are dying every day. You go to the newspapers, there's the obituary columns. Everything, death is happening every moment, practically. And everyone's thinking, not me. Just doesn't happen to me. Prabhupada uses a very poignant example. The animals are lined up for slaughter. So they're all lined up. So one animal is getting slaughtered while the other one in line is still eating the grass, thinking everything is okay. So this is a slaughterhouse. So if we're not aware of that, then we need to do something to awaken our intelligence.
Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj. By the way, this is not Kiran Prabhu from Charlotte. This is Mataji, Kiran Mataji from New Jersey.
What's
She is
your name?
Kiran Mataji from New Jersey. She has joined the class and she is
Yes.
asking the question.
You speak too fast for me. I can't understand what you say.
Sorry, Maharaj. By the way, I'm mistaken that this is not Kiran Prabhu from Charlotte. This is Kiran Mataji from New Jersey.
Kiran Mataji?
Yeah, but new devotee. She joined newly.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj, for the answer. Thank you.
Kiran is the name of, it means light.
Mm,
Kiran means bright light, like sunlight.
yeah. Thank you. Ravi Kiran Prabhu has raised his hand. Prabhuji, please go ahead.
Kiran, this is the Kiran section. All the bright lights are coming in at the end of the class.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept our humble obeisances. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj, as you told, we are feeling so satisfied when we are with devotees and when we hear about Krishna and Bhagavatam. One question, Maharaj, like while doing chanting and while reading, Maharaj, the mind is wavering a lot, trying to focus much, but still like because of material nature or due to office work, when we are doing chanting, something is like reminding in the background of mind. So want to focus more on it. Any suggestions, Maharaj?
What does Krishna say? He says, wherever the mind wanders, bring it back. Wanders again, bring it back. Wanders again, bring it back.
Sure.
Mother's trying to take care of a little child. Child runs this way, she catches him. Then she goes back to her work and he runs this way, she catches him again. She's not going to stop catching him because she knows it's good. He might hurt himself, he might fall down, he might break something.
Sure.
So the mind, don't let the mind go away. Bring it back.
Thank you. Sure, Maharaj.
If you don't bring it back, it'll take you in places you don't want to go.
Yeah. Yeah, when at the times I'm chanting loudly and trying to do slowly chanting, Maharaj, so that I get back onto the Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
That'll do it. Loud chanting will overcome the wandering mind.
Thank you, Maharaj.
I had an experience like that. It was very powerful. I was in a dangerous situation, and then I just started chant loudly. And the situation didn't change, but my experience of the situation changed.
Thank you.
Yeah, Prabhupada also said, now this is Prabhupada, he said, when I get in anxiety, I chant loud. So does Prabhupada get in the anxiety? Not material anxiety, he gets into spiritual anxiety.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Right.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Nice question. Dear devotees, any more questions or comments?
I just want to say one word about Kiran Mataji. Maharaj, Kiran Mataji was there in Sadhu Sangha, and somehow she connected with all of us. And then Srimati Mataji gave her the Zoom link to join these classes, and she's been coming on the calls.
Okay, thank you. I'm happy she's here.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Thank you, Mataji, for reminding. Hare Krishna.
We can stop here.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah. Thank you so much. I just want to announce tomorrow's class. Tomorrow's class is with Harrisburg devotees. The verse number is Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, 5th chapter, 72 verse, 572.
CC 572.
CC Adi Leela, 572. And the class timing is same, like 1 p.m. UK time. 8 a.m. Eastern and 7 a.m. Central.
I'm on Eastern Standard Time now for the next week.
Yes, Maharaj.
Mhm. And after that, I switched to Central. So, anyway.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Such a wonderful class and nice question answer discussion. Thank you, dear devotees. We'll see you all tomorrow again. Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada
ki jai.
Jai. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Dhanvat pranam.
Thank you all.
Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much,
much,
Guru
Maharaj,
Maharaj.
for the
Hare
nice lecture.
Krishna.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Thank you for the wonderful class, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the wonderful class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you
Hare
very much,
Krishna.
Guru Maharaj.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare
Thank you, everyone.